Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, Guile here, and welcome back to our coverage of the Prime Commander tourney. It's grand final day today here at Guilecast, and I'm sure a bunch of you will now be saying, hang on a minute, Guile, what happened to the other semi-final? Well, it was between Zlo and Adjux, and basically I went over the footage, and not a lot happened, and then not a lot happened, and then not a lot happened, and then something did happen, but it was massively deflating, and then Adjux won. So here we are at the final. I thought, why cover that? You know, we'll just go straight to the final, keep things interesting. If you do want to go back and check that match, or indeed any other, I believe someone has collated all of the replays for the Prime Commander tourney in another forum thread on the tournament section of the forums. So if you want to go and check this match or that match, or indeed any other, or indeed throw your hat into the ring, the casting ring, then why not? FAF could always use more casters, more community casters, more footage on YouTube to expand our community. Why not give it a go? But there we are. So the format for today's game will be slightly different as these two guys battle it out to try and walk away with the $150 prize. It's not commiserations 100% for the loser, of course, who's going to walk away with a minimum of 90. Not too bad there for a half a weekend's gaming. Played over 2 days. Very good stuff indeed. But as we say, the format's going to be a bit different. It's going to be a best of 5 instead of a best of 3. And the maps for that best of 5 are as follows. So game 1 will be Niflheim Final 2. Game 2 will be Point of Reach version 3. Game 3 will be on Regor 6 Highlands. And if it goes that far, Game 4 will be on Desert Arena. And I really, really hope it goes a distance, because if it does, the final and deciding map will be Winter Duel, which is utterly awesome. That literally is like the Subcom equivalent of penalty shootouts, which we all know and love. I mean, come on. As far as I'm concerned, the entire World Cup should be penalty shootouts. We could do away with the preceding 90 minutes of diving and play acting. But you know what? No one on the board of FIFA is going to listen to me. So let's go on with today's game. The first one, as we said, is going to be Niflheim Final. So let's go on over to the game zone and see how these guys are going to get on. I feel like we need a more dramatic entrance there. We need Big John McCarthy saying, let's get it on! But unfortunately, I don't know him. So you have to put up with me doing it, which doesn't have the same gravitas, but you know what I mean. Let's take a look at our finalists and the map. You know what? I'm not sure if I've ever cast a game on Niflheim. I think I must have. It's intensely familiar to me, and I don't think I've ever actually played a game on it, so that must mean I've casted it a few times. But we shall have a little look into it for the uninitiated among you. First of all, let's take a look at our finalists and their locations. Up here at the top left, in Volvo Beige Aeon Jumpsuit, it's Adjux, and he is opening first land, second air, and third land. And down at the bottom right is his opponent, and I know Adjux won't mind me saying, most likely the favourite, also in an Aeon jumpsuit, so it's an Aeon mirror matchup. It is Blackheart, and he has been going fecal brown all tourney. I don't know why. It's just his colour. I think he just likes getting me to say fecal brown. That's why I do it. It's the only reason anyone would pick that colour. But anyway, there he is. He's also opening first land, second air. Yep, there we go. And then third land. So very similar openings there for the two players. Let's take a quick look at the map. I actually quite like it. So you got this long plateau on the top and the bottom, which runs the length of the map. There are no passable sections of terrain to get up onto that plateau, so you can only access it by airdrops, or of course by doing a distance build from an engineer from the lower plateau and lining up that land factory or air factory onto the top lane. Then you can build from it, but otherwise it's inaccessible. It's not a huge amount of mass, but there are some ice chunks down here you can reclaim, and of course a couple of mexes here and one over here as well, so 3 mexes and some reclaim. But what is interesting is the tier below it is a pass that comes out around the back of your opponent's base. So if you can win a victory on that pass and get down here and challenge your opponent's base, you're potentially onto a winner. You do have large open spaces on either side of the map, but the center is pretty heavily clogged. You've got these two mountainous regions which are bifurcated by a canyon, and then a couple of other choke points either side. So it's very choky in the center. There's not a lot of free movement going on there for your armies. So it's interesting. Basically, I wish more maps were as bunched up, shall we say, because it makes for interesting tactics. You have to be a little bit more standoff. It's not just about large army micro. But there we are, and you can see First few planes out, bombers out for both Adjux and Blackheart. And looks like Adjux is beelining straight down here. The base, in fact, it's almost mirror openings from both of these two guys. Not seeing a scout plane out for Blackheart, but Blackheart does get the bomb away, kills the Aurora, which just managed to pick up one of Blackheart's scouts there. So a nice little bit of revenge there for him. Defending Interceptor rolls out off the conveyor belt, manages to lock onto the bomber, but clumped up Auroras are going to escape with their lives. Adjux does manage to get one bomb away and kill an engineer in the center of the base there, but the defending Interceptor finishes him off. The bomber there from Blackheart picking up its third kill, so I'm suspecting that's 2 engineers and that Aurora we saw earlier, but then Adjux manages to finish him off. Now both ACUs leaving the base now, heading up to their openings on that middle tier, I believe. So you can see the waypoint there for Blackheart's ACU coming up onto that middle tier, no doubt going to help secure the reclaim and that mechs there. And are we going to see a similar location? Well, it certainly seems that way there from Adjux. So a meta evolving here. Adjux going to pick up the reclaim first with that ACU. Not a bad place for some factories where your ACUs there, so expect them to get some workshops going there, start building some units. A couple of land units here for Adjux making their way down that middle tier, no doubt looking for an engineer, but there is another Aurora waiting for him. And there you can see the distance build I was talking about. Quickest and easiest way to get stuff up there without shelling out for more air units and transports, which you might not really need in the grand scheme of things. But relatively even trades in the air over the center between these two players. Blackheart getting some PD a little bit further back. That'll give him some place to retreat to if things go pear-shaped up in this section. Not a lot of participation going on in this bifurcation. That's partly because of the angle. There's something about that having to come up and around. It's just not such a natural approach as it is to continue pushing up in a straight line. But Adjux very light on this section, and Blackheart not really spewing a lot of troops in that area either. So large concentrations of forces on this portion of the map, especially now for Adjux. I'm wondering if Blackheart's actually being reactive to that. But we do have a little group of spirits here tickling that mass extractor to death. Fortunately, a little bit of backup arrives in the shape of that Aurora, so that's 1 mechs down there, and that will serve to increase Blackheart's lead by a couple of points there. Now 26 to 21, or 27 to 21 as it changes. Blackheart always good at getting the early expansion as efficiently as possible. It's one of the things that really sets him apart from the other players in this game, how efficient he is at early game expansion, how efficient he is with reclaim, which turns him into such a brutal eco monster, which is ultimately really difficult to defeat. Adjux getting his Auroras caught between a mountain and a hard place there, but the trades are relatively even, I think. Blackheart jostling with his Auroras, trying to evade the incoming fire. I think he's emerged slightly better out of that. That little band of scouts we saw earlier gets annihilated, but those 2 ACUs have moved up, both of which have grabbed a land factory, as we said before. Both moving on towards their opponent's base, slowly making progress on that middle plateau. Blackheart, though, has jumped into the T2 game. We've got a Blaze up front. You might be thinking, well, why hasn't he gone straight for Obsidians? Well, short answer is they're probably a little bit quicker and easier to produce, maybe a little bit less taxing on the eco front. Someone like to look that up. I just don't have time right now. Blackheart beating down the mechs there with his ACU. But Adjux, if that's accurate, no, that must have been reclaimed for a second there. It looked like he had a mass lead, which I would have been very surprised to see it. but seems to be, it's actually jumping all over the place. This will be down to the reclaim that's coming in, and a more reliable look will be on the reclaim figures themselves. So we've got 5,000 banked for Adjux and 5,100 banked for Blackheart. As you can see, scores changing all the time, 11k a piece, mass values changing all the time, so it's kind of hard to get a read on it. The territory that was gained just a moment ago by Blackheart in the center is being yielded as another band of sizable portions of Auroras rolls in from Adjux. Bomber for Blackheart caught out by Inties in the middle, and despite the ground he was gaining on that middle terrace there, Adjux deciding not to push yet. Probably not a bad decision. There's about to be a second eruptor down there in the corner. They could potentially bypass it if they stuck to the cliff edge, but of course, by the looks of things, no T1 artillery in these formations for Adjux as yet, so you wouldn't want to be going to take on too much T1 PD with that. It's a recipe for disaster. Another mech's under pressure up here for Adjux. Initial Auroras taken out, and Blackheart only has 4 for backup versus Adjux's 6. So probably not going to try and pressure that. Well, he's sticking around in the area, just looking for the ranged cap, which he's managed to do. So perhaps large gaps in intel there. Well, no, he's got a radar up there on the top there for Adjux. His attention must have just been elsewhere. But Blackheart in firm control of the bottom terrace there, right at the bottom edge of the map. The top half, we have got engineers roaming around for Adjux, but no land factories or anything like that, and we have had a distance build over at the corner of the map here from Blackheart, so he has a presence on that upper terrace at the top of the map there. Engineers for Adjux heading off that way to pick up those mexes. They're going to run into a few Aurora problems, and in fact that has been changed up considerably. Adjux not deciding on pressing ahead. I'm wondering if he's got a read on that side of things. Well, he has got intel, so I don't even know what's giving that. Has he got a T2 somewhere? Must have. He's got radar signatures going on, but Blackheart quick to quash the little rebellion up here, moves in with his Auroras and kills off those NGs before they can finish that land factory. So he's looking reasonably secure on that side of things. Bomber coming in to harass Adjux's forces down here now. Aurora's backing up slightly to a new line of formation further back. One engineer building a Ruptor in front of it. That would be a prime target if I was Blackheart. No, he's coming in instead to deal some damage to the Auroras. Takes out 6 in one attack. Very nice indeed. Cost effective as you like. But would you look at the mass differential now? It's dropped down to 45 again. It showed 55 for a minute, but still. Well, there it is, back up to 53. So 53 to 33. Definitely not looking great for Adjux, who's going to find himself under pressure on the upper terrace at the top now. Or is he? Chariot inbound with a Harbinger, so he's branched into T3, but the Chariot gets shot down before being able to drop off its cargo. So no overwhelming tech advantage on the upper terrace there for Adjux. Those Auroras for Blackheart free to continue to roam, but that's interesting. So we've got T3 on the field now for Adjux, one Harbinger coming to join the armies on the bottom middle terrace there. We've also got T3 now in play for Blackheart, these two meeting each other step for step on tech, and Harbingers being produced. TMD in the base there for Blackheart. Not sure if he's seen any TMLs kicking around. Well, it doesn't look like it. I would have been shocked if Adjux had had the mass to spare, so Blackheart just being precautionary with that little TMD build, and why not? approaching the quarter of an hour stage in a game. It's not bad idea to start defending against that kind of thing, whether you've seen it or not. And what is that? Well, that looks like a factory control K in the main base there from Adjux. He wants to recycle that mass. Both of these players producing very little out of their factories now. It is going to be fewer but much more high value targets. Blackheart leading a charge with his ACU up to this northern choke point in the center of the map. Want to get his ACU too overexposed. Mind you, having said that, really isn't anything in the area that Adjux can challenge it with. Meanwhile, on the bottom middle terrace, Blackheart withdrawing up towards his PD. Got a couple of harbs, doesn't need to be too cautious here. Another one coming in as well. Could actually deal a killing blow to that army of Adjux's if he decided to go in. I'm surprised Blackheart hasn't assisted his forces here by going in with his ACU, adding his overcharge to the mix. Certainly could do with it against these harbingers, which are amassing a little bit further back for Adjux. Down go the blazes. Exchanges on the upper middle terrace. Still not going to go well for Blackheart though, thanks to the presence of that harbinger. And another airdrop. This time it's build capacity up onto the top terrace. We have had one harbinger that's made its way over. It's killed off the mexes, but so far Adjux doesn't have a radar signature read. If he zooms in, he'll see that footprint there of the building, but there's no guarantee that he's going to do that anytime soon. So 16.5 minutes gone so far. 49 to 39 in favor of Blackheart. Reclaim figures sit at just under 11,000 there for Blackheart. And Adjux actually a little bit ahead, also just under 11,000, but ahead by about 100 mass. But that advantage very, very slight indeed. It's almost not worth mentioning. But Adjux looking pretty good on this corner of the map. So much so now that Blackheart's been full to pull his ACU and bring it over to this area. And of course leaves an open door for the harbingers that were sitting up here for Adjux. Answers on a postcard, is it Adjux or Adjux? Always the problem with being a community caster. You wouldn't believe how upset people get if you mispronounce their names. Perfectly understandable, of course. I forget the time when I logged into EVE Online, which I used to play for years back in the day, and was conversing on comms with a corporation who wanted to join our alliance, and the CEO was a woman. And she came on and immediately referred to me as Gale. Yeah, that went down with the rest of my corp mates pretty well. Didn't hear the end of that one for about 3 months. So I do sympathise. Apologies if I do fail with your names from time to time, guys. It happens. Nice little bit of micro there from Blackheart, keeping that harbinger alive on 500 HP. But still a decent exchange for Adjux. Those 3 harbingers of his still alive. Minutes gone. Very cagey opening to this game so far. But as the numbers of T3 units on each team increases, so do the stakes. Adjux actually pulling his ACU right back to his main base, and that is because Blackheart has broken through on that middle terrace. So Blackheart now in control of basically the entire southern hemisphere of the map. Adjux threatening Blackheart's main base, but Blackheart has his ACU in the area, so a few well-placed overcharges should deal with that. Has the energy storage to use it. There we go. What seemed like decent odds initially there for Adjux quickly turned with the presence of Blackheart's ACU. And where has Adjux gone? Adjux has gone for a walk and left his base wide open. That's because he doesn't like the way it's gone. He surrenders. GG thrown out there for... why? No real reason that I can understand. He could have fended off that attack perfectly with his ACU. I suppose he might have had problems there, but the game was far from over, and actually there wasn't a huge amount of difference in the amount of economy coming in. And for most of the game, Blackheart was actually ever so slightly behind on reclaim as well, which is also the state of affairs. So I'm really surprised at that one. Adjux suffering from a little bit of Idra blindness there. But maybe he just felt like he was not getting the leg up as he needed against Blackheart, and as a result couldn't manage it. Adding the wrong value there to the score sheet at the top. Blackheart walks away with that first game. So there we are. But yeah, really not sure what's going on there. And I've just realised that is shocking. Haven't changed the banner at the bottom of my amazing thing. There we go. Grand final. And it's Blackheart versus not Mr. Smith anymore. It's Adjux. Look at this ad hoc stuff we've got going on here. How about this for technical brilliance? Very good. Well, yeah, so, I mean, game one, that is a major surprise. I don't know. I felt like he gave up unnecessarily there, but you can't afford to do that. You've got to fight tooth and nail against Blackheart. You're not going to get many chances as is. But anyway, game two is going to be on Point of Reach version 3. The map is loaded so we can come back on over. Blackheart saying reclaim all the trees, but of course that is to allies, so his opponent isn't going to hear that. Let's take a look at the starting locations for this one. So it's right the way down the center, and up here at the top 12 o'clock position we have Blackheart now 1-0 in the series after Adjux's very peculiar capitulation at the end of that one. And this time he's switching it out, going back to Seraphim, and still sticking with that fecal brown, opening first land. So there we are, second air going to be laid down next to that hydro. And his opponent down here for game two is Adjux, once again, who's also changing it up to Seraphim. So it's a Seraphim mirror matchup this time, another mirror matchup, also going first land there, second air. Seraphim, of course, a huge advantage on this map, another heavily water-dominated map, so Zooey spam, sub-hunter spam, all of that jazz. And of course not forgetting the destroyers that Seraphim have, pretty overlooked as far as the naval units goes, but the fact that they can submerge and act as submarines or basic destroyers, pretty powerful stuff. But Adjux getting the bottom building sorted there for his base, and then going straight out with his comm. Build capacity immediately getting on board a transport. How does this compare to the opening for Blackheart up the top? Well, Blackheart's still sticking it out in his base here, but has gone straight for that transport. Now, which islands are these two guys going for? Well, Adjux heading straight out here with his... I think he's actually got a little bit more build capacity on his transport than Blackheart's got, actually. By the look of things. Is he going to drop all of them off or just one? So one goes down. So Adjux making a play for everything on this side of the map. And it's going to be interesting because Blackheart going this way as well. Scout planes and interceptors out for both. Blackheart's scout plane goes down. Both sets of engineers land in the same place, but a huge amount more build capacity there for Adjux than Blackheart. So already an advantage with our Volvo beige player at the bottom, and a bomber coming in as well to help counter that build capacity. Question is, will Blackheart be able to lock onto it with the inties in time, or will he be able to move the engineers? No, he won't. All three NGs down. One FAM out for Blackheart, but that goes down. Quick reclaim, and this looks like it might be an area hold here for Adjux. Very nicely done, and you know what? Blackheart's just going to control K that. Why even bother? There we go. Bomber coming in there from Blackheart, but that's going to get shot down. So good, solid work there from Adjux, who's made landfall with his comm on this other island. Meanwhile, Blackheart is going to try and repair the situation by heading out to the western edge of the map. Another transport laden with engineers and the ACU making its way onto land. So Adjux well and truly ahead in this one after that opening. He's also making a play for this far western island. We have got interceptors in the area. We have got a scout plane in the area as well there for Blackheart. Now the question is Adjux going to get the NGs on the ground in time, or is he going to lose them? Needs to drop it down immediately. He doesn't want to be heading too close to the center. It's going to be close. It takes so long to release, but down they go. They manage to make landfall safely. The transport doesn't make it out as we would have expected. A PD is very hastily constructed, and the THAM that's brought in there for Blackheart gets crucified. Blackheart switches production up to Zooey there to try and deal with that PD, which is now in range of that land factory. However, another Zooey should surely deal with it. Build capacity has taken a little bit of a hit. Two engineers remain. Desperately need to get that land factory online if they can, but they're not going to. Blackheart manages to finish them off with that artillery. So that's a hold for him. So both players here getting a grab on those two central islands there in the middle. And 67 apiece, albeit just for a moment there on Eco. So barely anything to choose between these two guys. However, 3 naval facilities online now and more incoming there for Adjux. It looks like Blackheart is yet to start his naval production. He is well and truly, but no, he has got a factory it's about to complete. There we go, but he's several factories behind. And as we know, Navy utterly key on a map such as this. One frigate heading north there from Adjux. Construction on those naval facilities paused, so Adjux not with the economy to support building from them all as yet. 85 to 82 at 9 minutes. So a lot of time having passed on this one. Blackheart with another transport inbound. Don't think that's going to get the engineers off in time, as 2 inties there from Adjux lock onto it and shoot it down. He did manage to drop off 1 engineer though, which will be successful in picking up one of those small central island mass points there. But then everything goes quiet. This is more often than not a map that's played with teams of multiple people or indeed free-for-alls. Does make for some very peculiar games. But as a result, it takes a long time for two head-to-head players to develop. One mech's down up here thanks to this frigate of Adjux. Another soon to follow. One more on the edge there, but there is another frigate hanging around behind the island from Blackheart. And those 3 naval yards pumping out frigates at full speed now. But we've got a T2 naval yard in place, so Adjux really going full steam ahead on naval production. The other 5 T1 factories all producing naval units. And another one over here as well, but a few Zoes harassing the mass on this island. Has Blackheart actually seen that naval yard? That'd be a nice pickup for his Zoes if he can get in there. He has strolled past it. Blackheart yet to issue new orders, and you can see now there's some incoming fire from some frigates that are responding to that threat there for Adjux. Don't know why you wouldn't Zooey spam if you pick Seraphim on a map like this. It's such an overwhelmingly powerful tool, especially since there's so much area to cover in terms of intel. Easy for small groups of Zooeys to catch you out, and of course the cliff edges don't offer you any protection either. Just hover right up next to them and lob shells over the top. Adjux actually suffering quite badly on his northern coast, on his main island there, due to that little Zooey attack. But a frigate tidies them up nicely. Adjux needs to get his navy in play now, as Blackheart brings down 6 frigates with another one in tow slightly further behind. Adjux with many more vessels in the water, and also with a destroyer as well. Just needs to get them into position as Blackheart's frigates go into single file through the channel here. Blackheart knows better than to hang around against those odds. Out he goes. Oh. Zooey's incoming. In fact, they might be Yenzines. They are. So we've got T2 land spewing out over here. Blackheart producing T2 hover tanks there. Trying to find an approach to cause problems, but the air game could be interesting. Lots of inties on the map now. Both of these guys at T2. And look at this Zooey drop that is planned. Adjux getting that transport as far away from that horde of interceptors of Blackhearts as possible. Getting right to the edge of the map. And where's he going? Well, he's looking like he's coming for a drop right in the main base. That might be ambitious. So we switch to Blackheart's view and see if he's got any read on that. Well, rather unsurprising. He might do for a second. There we go. So we'll see how much attention Blackheart is paying to his map. That's just the kind of thing I would have missed, but would you look at that? Not our Blackheart. Fraction of a second was all he needed. Interceptors dispatched, and that transport full of Zooeys is doomed. That is an expensive drop that's gone wrong there. Quite an ambitious landing. Why not try and drop them off in the sea somewhere and maybe go after one of the less well defended areas? But I applaud the commitment to the aggression. Well, you know what? The tack that Blackheart has taken, he hasn't managed to cut it off, and T2 transport's only slightly slower, but alas, with the change up on the waypoints, if it had been a smoother transition there, he might have managed to make it, but he lost so much speed turning. And now another one as well. Adjux just throwing mass at Blackheart at this point. Surely, now it's been spotted, you have to drop them. Unload. Adjux, unload. You're never going to make it. Even if he did, it would have made no difference. Not with the Vulthus in the air. T2 gunships would have hoovered them up nicely. And now Adjux finds himself under attack from a cruiser in the center of the map. Superior numbers in terms of vessels, though, for Adjux. He's just not getting them into the right areas. He wants to get one cruiser and sit it in here and just cause all kinds of problems for this island. Self-sufficient in terms of defending itself from air attack. You can afford to bump that to +1. But one lone Vulthu there for Adjux. Picks off a Mex. Blackheart dispatching his air force to deal with it. That might be overkill. There's the rest are recalled to help deal with the scout plane invasion. Only 5 sent on there for Blackheart to finish off that gunship, but the Mex was taken out. But looking at the eco side of things, 194 to 155. Reclaim figures, 4187 there for Blackheart and 3216 for Adjux. So consistently Blackheart ahead in these games on eco, as we said at the beginning of the last one. So very dangerous. But in come the Vulthus to the eastern island, and they're going to run into a ton of floating T1 anti-air. You see just how impractical they are against T2 units. They take so long to chew through all that HP, and I think if those Vulthus had focused on the anti-air to begin with, they would have managed to kill it all and maybe get out if Blackheart had brought in his inties in time. But what it has allowed is Blackheart to make another incursion with more Vulthus slightly to the northeast, and now he's working on another core mass, section of core mass from another starting location. All 4 of those T1 Mexes taken out. 8 mass per tick down. And now Yenzines find a cruiser doing just what I said he should do, and of course getting caught shows you how much I know, but alas, could have done with a little bit better frigate protection. So Adjux trying to respond to the aggression on the other side of the map with Vulthus of his own, trying to play Blackheart at his own game slightly, but seem to be working so far. Blackheart seems to be dealing with the threats just a little bit better, and now we've got ASFs in the mix as well. So Blackheart up to T3 air. No commitment to the T3 air game at all yet for Adjux or Adjux. And a strap bomber tails behind those ASFs is now inbound on the main base, and the power grid very exposed here for Adjux. Down goes the first one. 3 T2 P-Gens remain and a Hydro. Down goes another. The volatility of the explosion taking out a bunch of build capacity around that T2 air factory as well. Meanwhile, large air engagement brews over the top of this base. In comes that strap bomber once again. 3rd T2 P-Gen going down. Adjux now getting royally assassinated on the power front. And not only that, Blackheart has conquered the skies over the top and is now harassing Adjux's comm on the island to the east with 2 more strap bombers, and Adjux with absolutely nothing to repel these strat bombers. We've got lots of T1 anti-air, but it's just not cutting through all the HP on those strats. A couple more passes should do it, and there he goes, 22 minutes down, and Adjux goes 2-0 behind in the series against Blackheart. Well, I said I wanted it to get to that final map, and at the rate things are going, I'm sorry to say, it doesn't look like we are going to get there. Blackheart looking incredibly strong in this one so far. Early-ish T3 air, just too many issues there for Adjux. That wasn't super early, but caused enough problems quickly enough for Adjux not to be able to respond. And the third game in the series, Regor 6 Highlands, is ready to go. So Adjux has a mountain to climb so far. Blackheart opens this one and says, I think this is my 18th game in a row. Good thing I placed this factory so well. So Blackheart unhappy with the way he's picked. You can kind of see why. He was obviously wanting to get an adjacency bonus on the mechs, but probably not wanting it right next to the hydro like that. Or maybe he was wanting neither, I don't know. That certainly would be an error if that was the case. But anyway, Blackheart 2-0 up in games. Once again going Seraphim for game 3, opening first land and then just going land all day. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 factories queued up after this one. Sorry, excuse me, that is an air factory. Talking garbage. 1 land factory and then an air factory superseding it, and after that we're going to get 4 more land factories. So Blackheart second air, going to have some early air power on the cards. Adjux also going first land, second air, so very similar once again. Adjux so far queuing up 1 less land factory in the opening stages, but already with a little bit of Selene play out there for Blackheart. But yeah, sorry, Adjux, as we said, also going Seraphim and sticking with the beige. Selene's out for both players now. Tham coming into the center there for Adjux. What have we got going on here? 1, 2, 3, 4 P-gens and a hydro. So probably going to wait maybe a few more P-gens before spitting out any bombers. Blackheart taking a defensive air attack in this one. Adjux, by contrast, bringing his Inti and his scout plane straight over here. To cause a few issues. Now to the center, the first few units arrive in the middle of the map. Nice little bit of micro there from Adjux, managing to keep that Tham alive on just 12 hit points and doesn't want to sit around and lose it. It's always entertaining when huge amounts of effort goes into saving the odd unit, like that Luzon's low game, I believe, where Slow managed to save his Aeon engineer with was it? Actually, it might have been a no, sorry, it was Cybran engineer. Luzon was playing Aeon, but those quick power gen blocking builds, forming a screen to keep them alive. Alas, that engineer not worthy of Blackheart's time. So ACUs moving out in similar fashion to one another. Adjux taking this line down here, Blackheart taking this line up here, both heading for this other starting location over here, the section of core mass. Blackheart and Adjux both picking up the reclaim on the way, so very consistent with the meta once again. Two seasoned vets who've really got the hang of this map. Blackheart with the bomber harassment, and you really notice the difference between the Seraphim and the Aeon. Those flanking units there not dying in the first pass to that bomber. If they had been Auroras, they would have. Adjux comes in, kills off the bomber, but Blackheart quick to respond and has massed 4 or 5 inties there in the center, operating in unison, which managed to pick off another 4 or 5 of Adjux's. Bit of a ground engagement, and Adjux's formation out of position there, not facing on to Blackheart as he approaches, and is now forced to withdraw. As those units head off around the back of the hillocks, Blackheart is able to carry on pressing forward and is going to take out 3 of those T1 mexes. It's going to give Blackheart a healthy lead at the beginning of this one now, 38-29 in favor of Blackheart in the first 7.5 minutes. Now, Adjux bringing his ACU back from that starting location. Adjux also losing the land factory up here. Blackheart wisely not sitting around waiting for the ACU to turn up. If he's going to lose those THAMs, he might as well lose them doing something useful. Of course, not able to traverse through here. There is a pond here. Amphibious units only, so THAM's going to have to skirt around. And unfortunately for him, he's not going to be able to do anything more with that army as Adjux chases him down. Reinforcements do come in for both sides, and are going to meet just north of the center. Confluence going to work out a little bit better there for Adjux. Going to make him feel a little bit better about losing those mexes, which he has now subsequently rebuilt. And a transport with an engineer on board is going to run into a few interceptors from Blackheart. That's going to get shot down. Adjux really needs to get a handle on this air game. It's causing him a few problems here, and he needs to get ahead. Otherwise, this match is going to get away from him. It's going to be all over. Best of 5, remember. Blackheart only needs to win this one to take home that $150 prize. The transport inbound. This time it's for Blackheart. There is a T1 anti-air in the area there for Adjux. But that's not enough to stop the engineer, which quickly reclaims Adjux's engineer and is now going to assert control over this small plateau at the corner of the map there. Adjux with an opportunity to at least strike at a couple of these 2 mexes and grab a bit of territory here. It looks like he's deciding to push forward, and I applaud that idea. Meanwhile, Blackheart might have found an opening on the other side of the map. There is a PD in play, but Zui's dealing with that nicely. Once that's down, it's just a radar and a mechs to deal with. Adjux trying to chase it down. He has got an Ilshiva in the area as well. I realise they can actually scale these things, but it seemed like no big deal for the Ilshiva. It's just walked right over the hill. He'll be successful in finishing that off, but he has lost the mechs. And meanwhile, Ilshiva's inbound for Blackheart. Adjux trying to accomplish a similar feat down here. However, it seemed to be light on artillery. Hasn't managed to do anything to that PD. And of course that mech's still intact. However, he did manage to take down this mechs. But that has promptly been rebuilt. 12 minutes gone in this one. Eco pretty much dead even so far. Reclaim wise, 4,200 there for Blackheart and 5,400 for Adjux. So actually, so far Adjux ahead in eco. The question is, can he translate that into production? And now a major assault from Blackheart in the center, ACU assisted. There's nowhere to go for Adjux except back. Map control wise, Adjux seeming to lose a foothold in this game ever so slightly. Yes, the eco is even, but that's not going to continue forever when your opponent has access to more mexes. Blackheart throws down another land factory in the center there. Decided not to go up and assist his troops immediately. This could be an important exchange now. And look at this Ilshiva push up the eastern edge of the map from Blackheart. All four of those core mechs is destroyed. That other one in the center over here destroyed. They're not likely to be able to push on up towards these three mechs because of Adjux's ACU. However, Blackheart now pushing forward with his ACU. Gun on there? Nope. I'm talking nonsense. At the moment it looked like the range was a little bit longer. Adjux's ACU moving back over to that other starting location to pick up the mexes that have recently been destroyed and given Blackheart a tiny edge on eco in this game so far. The units of build capacity about to meet their maker. Seraphim called Tin makes all of the engineers in a small back room. And that is a nasty looking group of Ilshivas that Blackheart has amassed in the center there as he's moving on towards Adjux's base. And the worst thing about it for Adjux is his ACU is separated. It's all the way over here, so he's got no overcharge to help deal with it. Blackheart, the only thing he has to fear is some kind of TML strike or some kind of fighter bomber rush, something like that, that's going to snipe his ACU. Hasn't got any anti-air protection with him, but he's probably more or less certain there's nothing like that coming. He's got a scout plane over here, so he knows what's going on in the main base. Pretty up-to-date intel on that base, as you can see. Adjux trying to reinforce this position all the time, but there's so many assault bots moving in from Blackheart. I'm surprised he's not being a bit more aggressive. He's 2-0 up. Send the commander in, why not? Perhaps he just thinks he doesn't need it. Last of the assault bots likely to go down soon, and then it's just the Zuis. Adjux has been making his way back over with his comm. Of course, the commander can take the shortcut straight through the pond. T2 factory under attack by these assault bots, down into the red. Overcharge deals with one of them, but it's not going to be enough. Down goes the T2 factory. It is, of course, not the HQ. It's situated over here. Of course, if the ACU was in the area, he could be blapping things by now. Once again, though, easy for us to say. You can see everything. This is looking extraordinarily bad for Adjux now. He throws out the GG. He knows when he's beaten. And that is Blackheart walking away with the golden avatar and $150 for the tourney. Yeah, Adjux never looked like he was going to pull it off. Not really. And the disparity in global rank and insight there into the outcome of the game. He's just so dangerous. And you've got to say, man, Zoc, why didn't you play? It's the only person you really feel that's going to give Blackheart the run for his money that he needs. But perhaps next time, Visionik, get your wallet out. Next time, we need Zoc versus Blackheart. It must happen. So there you go. Like I say, guys, if you want to see any more of the replays, the tournament section has a lot of stuff collated on there. I don't know if it's complete, but if you want to check out what happened, it's great to see some of the old players like Tag Rock and Pebble returning. They played a few matches, got into the last 8, I think, something like that. Or certainly Tag Rock did. But anyway, guys, as always, more to come from me in the future. But in the meantime, stay well and stay safe. This is Guile, signing out.